going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Ready Gold Standard podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Matt Llewellyn. Matt, just got back from the game myself. That's why we're doing this later. My voice, I feel like the team doesn't deserve for my voice to be sore for as crappy as that performance was. What do you make of it?
This was a watershed moment for the season. Like, if this team had any aspirations for doing anything, like, you can stick a fork in them. And I don't care if people are going to say, oh, well, it's only week 9 or whatever. They've only played 8 games. They still have 9 games left, whatever. This was the perfect opportunity to take advantage of a team that was without its starting quarterback, without its top 2 starting wide receivers, without one of its star defensive ends, and you couldn't take advantage. And you come up with a measly 17 points, and you allow Colt McCoy to look like an NFL All-Pro. Like, I don't understand what's going on with this team. I have some theories, but this was pathetic. I mean, we got George Kittle back, didn't matter. Deebo Samuel played, didn't matter. Elijah Mitchell played, didn't matter. Jimmy Garoppolo, think about it this way. We did our predictions, right, of offensive MVP. I think you said Kittle would have 6 or 7 catches for 115 and a touchdown. He had 6 catches for 101 and a touchdown. I said that Ayuk would have 5 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown. Ayuk had 6 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown, right? Jimmy Garoppolo throws 70% completion percentage, throws for over 320 yards, and has multiple touchdown passes. And they lose by double digits to a team without those starting players that they had. This is pathetic. And to me, there's no excuse. To me personally, somebody's going to have to get the axe. And I think it's going to be D'Amico Ryans, to be honest. He looks over his skis. This defense is not what it was. They're not aggressive. They're not playing their spots correctly. They're not disciplined. I mean, it's pathetic. This performance was pathetic.
It really was. SF Dre Niners to say Matt Rant. Yeah. It's been an ugly game. To see them go out there and start the way they did. I got to my seats a little late. Stopped to get some quesadilla tacos, which were delicious, by the way, but that's aside from the point. They were moving the ball, and then you have George Kittle fumble, which is, okay, he hasn't been around the ball or on the field for a while. Maybe that's understandable, but then they just never recovered from that. And like you said, to make Colt McCoy look like he was, they played Kyler Murray better than they played Colt McCoy, which makes absolutely no sense at all. And I tweeted during the game, it's like they've never heard of a screen pass before, because these screen passes was getting them killed all day, and they were rushing into the backfield, and the Cardinals, rightfully so, were using their aggression and their kind of just their quickness against them. And we're drawing in the pass rushers just to plop it over their heads and watch James Conner go for, 30, 40 yards each time. It was insane. A lot of people are saying, heads need to roll. This is D'Amico Ryans' defensive scheme. Is it not? My question for you, Matt, did this team quit on the coaches today?
I don't want to say that. They just played like shit. That's all there is to it. I mean, I don't think that the 2 fumbles are like the team quitting or whatever. They just played poorly. They played very poorly. It looked like a schematic issue. It didn't look like they're playing they were playing so far off the ball, and it's like, other than Christian Kirk, who are you worried about? What are you doing playing so far off the ball? And everything that Colt McCoy was able to do was underneath until they played man, and then Colt McCoy was getting one-on-one shots and kind of just throwing stuff up. But this goes back to more than just coaching and more than just, whatever. These were things that we talked about in the season preview, where I was like, listen, offensive line is an area of concern to me. Defensive back is a serious area of concern to me. And that's all played out. And it's just, this team has more defensive pass interferences than they do interceptions by 3 times over. The 49ers are tied for dead last in takeaways. They have the second worst turnover differential in the NFL. You want to know where we're losing games? That's where we're losing games. Bar none, quite frankly, this team has no ball hawks and no defensive playmakers outside of Nick Bosa. And that's including Fred Warner. Fred Warner's job is sideline to sideline, make tackles, make sure nothing gets behind you. And even he has looked worse this year under D'Amico Ryans. Like, my dream is for Robert Saleh to be one and done in New York and then come crawling back here and being the defensive coordinator, because they were much more fiery, much more technically sound underneath Robert Saleh than D'Amico Ryans. And I just think that it's D'Amico Ryans' first job. He's only been an assistant for, a few years. I think he's just in over his skis and he doesn't know what to do. You know, for once, like, we hammer on Jimmy all season when he plays like garbage. But for once, Jimmy was not the biggest problem today. He played okay. He threw a few hospital balls again. He had that really bad interception where he just did not even see Budda Baker, which, how you lose track of Budda Baker, I don't know. But overall, Jimmy was not the problem. The defense was a huge problem today. The only thing that really irked me about, and people are going to put this on Kyle. I don't think it's on Kyle. Like, y'all need to relax with that. Kyle didn't touch the defense, and the defense was a huge issue today. Kyle didn't fumble the ball twice. Kyle didn't have some of those drops. You know what I mean? Like, for me, like, the situation that they were in, I mean, they were down 17-0 before you could even blink because of those turnovers, right? Which is not on, like, fumbles are not on the coach. You know what I mean? Like, especially like the way that they happen. George trying to make something happen, somebody punches the ball from behind. Both were like punch outs from behind. That to me is not on the coach. The one area that was on Kyle that I just thought was super crazy was punting the ball from the 39. Like, that was the most cowardly punt I think I've seen in like the last 10 years. It was terrible.
Yep. I agree.
It was just a bad game all the way around. I think, Kyle kind of said it in the press conference. He was like, "Man, we had a good week of practice." He was like, "I was really surprised they didn't play better."
Yep.
And I think absolutely that's the case. So,
yeah,
Ace Bro, we're gonna get to Tom Compton. Don't you worry.
Yeah, I think honestly that's what kind of scares me the most is they're at a complete loss. I had a nice hour and a half, 2 hours sit in traffic trying to get out, so I was watching all of their press conferences. And it genuinely seemed like the coach, Shanahan, and each player that was up was at a loss. They had a complete loss of words as to what happened today. Each player said, "No, we actually had a really good week of practice. And I honestly don't know. We just got to get back to it and be better." And I'm just going to throw this out there, Matt. This is I want to say the third time at least that I know of where offensive players have cited we saw something different other than the coaches prepared us for. So I don't know if that's something that's happening in the week of preparation to where they're preparing them for something different and the opposing team comes out and throws something different at them or what, or if they're just not good enough to overcome these changes when they're not getting the looks that they were expecting to get.
Right.
Probably the latter.
I'll address that. I'm going to address Melissa here. She says, "Disagree. Matt Kyle has an anti-Ricky mentality. That's on him pulling Lenore as inexcusable." Lenore's a 5th-round pick. You can pull him if you want to. And he definitely doesn't have an anti-Ricky mentality because Elijah Mitchell is a star back. So that doesn't hold water with me. No disrespect intended. But there's a lot of stuff like going on with other players and, why they're not out there or whatever. So that's on whoever was drafting is drafting bad players first off. And we've discussed what their early pick, woes are or whatever. But as for the offense saying that they're seeing things that they hadn't prepared for or whatever, like, what do you think is going to happen? That excuse to me holds no water because you're like, and Steve brings it up, Lenore was inactive because he had a baby. So that's part of it. But even if that's not being the case or whatever, but as far as the offense goes, the offense is the one that's dictating where they're going, right? Like, the defense has to react to what you're doing. So that doesn't hold water with me. And like, it's not like they weren't able to move the ball today. They moved the ball. The turnovers are what killed them, So I don't know. That's a weird thing to me. The defense was completely on its heels all day, though.
Yeah,
And I think
they had
that
no
was
answer.
the big thing.
They had no answer for Cole McCoy, for James Conner, Christian Kirk, like you said.
Think about that for a second. They had no answer for Colt effing McCoy.
Yep, exactly.